Alright, so forgive me if I'm coughing. I've been dealing with a cold for like 3 months, and it's not fun. I'm like just Isaac said, I've been here a few times, and every time I'm here I sort of figure out what the vibe of the night's going to be. And when I realized that tonight's night is going to be about community, I got really excited, and I'm actually more excited about tonight than I have been in the past, because I think there's an amazing amount of potential in what we can accomplish here tonight. I know when I stand up here, for a lot of people, they might not think that I look necessarily like somebody who's into hip-hop. But the truth is, I've pretty much grown up on hip-hop. As young as like the first grade, I was listening to things like Run DMC and Public Enemy and KRS-One and some of that kind of stuff. And when I was asked to come in here tonight and sort of share about hip-hop as a positive opportunity for community, I started thinking about what people think of hip-hop today. Some of the images that people think of, maybe people who aren't interested in hip-hop and they sort of just see what it's from a media perspective. And I started wondering if they have a point, right? Like, a lot of people will look at it and say, well, it degrades women, and you have these women dancing in videos, and you've got big expensive cars and giant mansions, and they're in the club, and that's what hip-hop is. When I share, I usually try and stay pretty neutral and just try to encourage. I try not to ruffle any feathers, but tonight I hope I don't step on some toes, but I hope that, especially for some the people who really love hip-hop and what hip-hop is, the MCs, the DJs, the breakers, the artists, that you hear this message and you understand your role in it. Because when I think of some of the stereotypes that people have of hip-hop, the truth is that it comes from somewhere. And unfortunately, I believe that the mainstream hip-hop has been hijacked, and it's not really hip-hop as hip-hop is intended to be. Hip-hop is the root of hip-hop, the core of hip-hop, is a social movement. It's a community movement. MCs, the people who play the voice for hip-hop, are revolutionaries. They're the people who stand up and make change for their communities. If you look back at some of the MCs that paved the way, people like KRS-One, like Run DMC and Public Enemy, these are people who are the grandfathers of hip-hop. And if you are an MC, if you are a DJ, understand you're in that family tree. You are representing something that they created, and it's something that's really special and has obviously meant a lot to people throughout history because it's still around today. When hip-hop sort of started out, I'm sure most of us are aware that it started out in neighborhoods that were a little rougher, that had some issues going on as far as poverty and violence, and MCs stood up and they started being a voice for that. When I talk to some friends of mine, I have friends all across the country, and when I tell them I live in Hamilton, do you know what their response is? Hamilton? Why would you want to live in Hamilton? I'm sure you guys are aware that Hamilton is one of the poorest cities in this entire country. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in this city. And I believe that people just like you guys, people who have a voice and a way like Freestyle Friday to promote their voice, can be the people who start influencing change. People think of Hamilton as the armpit of Ontario. That's what people say. I've traveled all across Canada, I've traveled into the United States, and when they hear it, they think nothing good comes from the city. But here's what I want to challenge you guys today. If you guys are into hip-hop, you like really into hip-hop, not into this like phony hip-hop that you see on TV with like fancy cars and stuff, because let's be honest, I love that you guys have this keep it real thing here. The Bronsons are an amazing group of people, and they've got to something that I believe hip-hop is missing. Their own catchphrase of keeping it real has been lost. When you look at a music video and you see them driving fancy cars and got girls dancing up and they're throwing dollar bills, that's not real. Those cars are rented. Those women are paid to be there. That's not their real life. And so hip-hop, if you really love hip-hop, you actually need to understand that this motto of keep it real is essential to that movement. When you guys are up here tonight, you're going to freestyle a little bit later. Understand, MCs, that you're a voice. What you say influences people. People look, and whether it's right or whether it's wrong, people look at people who are on a stage and want to be like them. People look at them and say, I wish I had that skill, or I wish I was as talented as them. I wish I could say what I need to say. Understand that you influence people, and there's a responsibility for MCs to represent themselves well. Now, I'm not here to say that anything that's taboo in hip-hop doesn't have its place. But what I want to get through today is that if you want to be, like if you're ingrained in hip-hop, join the essence and the movement that was hip-hop. Don't get sold into or bought into the hype that they're trying to market towards you, because really, they don't care. They're just trying to make you spend money on a product. Don't buy the product, buy the truth of hip-hop. Now, when you guys leave here, I don't know where you're going. I don't know what your home life is. I don't know what neighborhoods you live in. But what I'm willing to bet is that there are people whose lives are falling apart. I'm willing to bet that there's broken homes. I'm willing to bet that there's poverty and food stamps. I'm willing to bet that there's violence and drugs. The role of an MC in that community is to be a voice of hope and a voice of opportunity and possibility. When you get up on stage, instead of rapping about like guns and drugs and whatever it is that people think is cool, or that, or women, or whatever it is that your ego thinks is cool and makes you what you are, understand that your responsibility as an MC is to be a voice for the single mom on welfare, for the community that's been ripped apart by gangs and by violence. It's your responsibility to stand up and stand in the gap and say, you know what, that's not right. And hip-hop doesn't promote that. The truth of hip-hop, that's not what we're about. We're about bringing change, whether it's lobbying to politicians or whatever. Understand that you have a voice. And it's not just the MCs. It can be the DJs, the breakers, the artists. If you're an artist, what's your art going to represent? Are you just going to be a punk kid who like tags things? Or are you going to make beautiful works of art that represent truth, honesty, and possibility? Take that with you as you leave this place. Take that with you as you step to the microphone tonight. Thanks.